There's concerns right now with how they can outround and pair up the lanes. That's again something I've been very worried with when teams have been versing Ragdoll, and at the moment it's looking like it's not too crazy hot for Interactive Philippines to take it honestly. Head to head in the laning stage is a concern because Quop's almost I don't want to say a free lane, but you've got very few lanes that you don't play well into at all. Bane's a strong laning stage support. They now go into the Phantom Lancer. So they've already taken care of like the Timbersaw, which is one of the best position 3s to deal with PL.
Just trying to think like what sort of AoE damage could be quite nice against it. Could they go like a Legion Commander against this?
That's what I was thinking.
It's not great against the OD, right? Because you could just save, but if you just catch the OD, it's going to be great. Or if you catch the Weaver out of position, you're squishy enough that you're just going to die before you get an Astral off, especially early on when you don't have that extra cast range, whether it be from a neutral item or an Eighth Lens or the like. So I feel like LC is decent, both for the laning stage in terms of like you're just tanky. You've got that. What's it even called? The counter attack.
Moment of Courage.
Moment of Courage.
Stands great.
To be able to deal with the PL, and then even if you get a ton of illusions, you can just use your Q and then do a ton of damage burst. Quickly look to take them out. And even the Sven, we've seen in recent times that is being seen as the counter, right? Something that doesn't need mana to still do some sort of a cleave mechanic, and Sven seems like a pretty good option for that.
And I think it sets up as well for potential Legion even more now. Like Sven just giving him a steroid. He's someone who really relies on not getting kited. Interactive Philippines, they don't have the greatest stuns at the moment, but maybe this last pick, some position 3 who can start fights, be a bit more of a nuisance to kite the Sven. And if the Legion is available for Ragdoll, then it does give them that window. But you're really looking at Ragdoll, how you can deal with the Phantom Lancer, because you've got big issues at the moment in regards to Bane and Spirit Breaker being very single target reliant. Maybe Queen of Pain can itemize into something different instead of the Orchid, just to offer you extra ways to help with the illusions. But we're really looking for GY's hero here to cement their draft.
Their lane push kind of sucks right now on Interactive Philippines as well, right? Like the Weaver does an okay job at cutting, and Chemo did his best to do it in that previous game, but obviously not going to be enough. Clockwork, you're kind of treading this line, right? Like if you're going to pick a Clockwork, you need to get kills with the use of the Battery Assault, and so you sort of want to be leveling up. I'm more of a fan of the Rocket Flare, but it doesn't seem to translate more into this high-level competitive pubs. They do end up banning out the Legion Commander. I like it. They got rid of the Broodmother. I mean, I was kind of thinking, like, do you go like a Beastmaster or do you go a Lycan or something like that against Interactive Philippines lineup? We'll have to see what pick they go for last, and if they do ban out like a Bloodseeker, for example, that'd be the biggest suggestion for mine, that they might want to go for this this hero that's just able to consistently run at you. It's always already going to be good ban against the Spirit Breaker. They actually ban it out themselves.
I don't hate the Beastmaster ban, honestly, because I think Interactive Philippines, like you said, they're lacking lane shove, but also tower push early. And without being able to open up the map as Radiant, it could be a little bit concerning where you've got an OD and PL who takes some time to come online, and you need just a little bit more map control to find that farm for the greedy heroes. You've got a Weaver too, so a bit of a concern on how they can set themselves up.
Even just this OD, right? You're going to get the Meteor Hammer, but just standing there channeling the Meteor Hammer against a Bane with Nightmare or a Spirit Breaker with Charge is so scary. So he's not going to have the total freedom to be able to do that. It means that Clockwork's going to need to be backing him up the vast majority of the time. They go for the Dragon Knight, so giving themselves that little bit of extra push, which I don't hate it. You can just stick your Dragon Knight on the front lines, have the OD kind of there as like a counter initiation, if you will.
Do you Underlord? They got a Necro. Okay. I like that a little bit more. I was like on the edge of Underlord. I saw DK. I'm like, okay, this actually looks like, if you're going to go for it, looks like a pretty good game. But against OD, I don't like heroes that are too tanky. I love this Necrophos pick, though. Another hero that GY can play at a really high level. If he has a good game, there's no reason why he can't go into the Radiance. But the Scythe is great versus Yona. You've lack ways to kill him off without a doubt here. Like Mob is going to look for a solid Diffusal Blade timing where he can kind of just take these longer drawn out fights, burn the mana of GY, and then play off the back of that. But again, I think this is. Look at the lanes from Ragdoll again. Like Queen of Pain is gonna have an edge versus OD. Sven's a super strong laner. DK's
not
pretty.
Against the OD though. It's DK mid.
Oh. Okay.
I don't hate that as much. I mean, I feel like even with the Warcry, right, the Arcane Orb is going to be doing a decent amount of pure damage in the laning stage. You have to be a little bit careful about your positioning on S-God here, because, you know, if you get a Nightmare set up into a stun, you're able to dish out a lot of burst damage, so it's going to be up to Matthew to try and bully them away a little bit here. But I prefer that a lot more than Citrus being laned up against the OD. I feel like DK, as long as you get to, like, level 3 without being harassed too much or falling behind too much in the gold and experience perspective, you're gonna have an okay time.
I think
okay. I didn't say good. I said okay.
Yeah. I'm again gonna favor Ragdoll. I think they've another game. They've got really strong lanes. The other team doesn't. It looks wonky, unconventional. A Weaver 4, OD 3. You're last picking a Dragonite. I mean, we were saying they had issues with stuns, initiation, tower push. DK gives you all of that. You've definitely filled a little bit of the void that you previously had and that you needed, but this is a really unconventional draft they have going for them, which worked for them in game one. We saw the tied position one. We saw the Meepo come out as well, but I'm a believer in Ragdoll. Just again, I think I really thought the lanes is how you answer Ragdoll, and I don't believe Interactive Philippines have done that. So I'm a favorite Dire.
Yeah, me as well. I feel like Ragdoll have not necessarily got it in the bag, but I feel like, you know, you've got that late game answer to the PL and VT Faded with the Greater Cleave. You've got a good matchup with GY against the Dragon Knight. And the Spirit Breaker is going to make it, of course, hard for OD and Weaver to have any sort of game early on. Bane strong in lane, Quap as well. Citrus, he's shown plenty of times that he's fantastic on that Queen of Pain. It's probably his most pick hero at this stage, right?
Yeah, he's been playing it a lot. We've seen also through the Moon Studio tournament as well. He's playing a lot of the Queen of Pain. Really feels like this hero is incredibly strong. I think it just fits well. Again, strong lanes, and he plays really well off that. You can rotate early. And we see a lot of the heroes mid rely on having these runes. All the spirits need to find the water runes, the power runes, and Citrus can easily control that with the Queen of Pain.
For me, it's going to be on the positioning from the OD in the earlier stages of this game, right? Because if you're able to stop a Reaper Scythe through the Astral Imprisonment, of course, that's going to be fantastic.
Yep.
If you're able to, you know, delay the game late enough that Matthew also gets his own Aghanim Scepter, of course, great against the Reaper Scythe, great to stop any kind of burst potential that's coming through from a Sven or a Queen of Pain as well. So, for me, it's going to need some individual brilliance to come out from Interactive Philippines for them to be able to take it. But yeah, I'm still going to favor Ragdoll. And while we do start, before we get into the swing of things, I just want to give another shout out to the social media teams for both Ragdoll and Interactive Philippines. They're doing their best to pump out content, so make sure you give them a follow on all of their channels, because we want to support more C teams looking to put the effort in.
That they're doing the, you know, having playing and performing with some incredible Dota. We get to see them for another series here where they're just giving us all the entertainment. I mean, game one was exceptional. Ragdoll really steamrolled game two, but now it's a fresh slate for either team, being able to set it back up and find if they can take the series. I mean, Interactive Philippines looking for their first series victory for the Division 2 Winter Tour, and then for Ragdoll looking to start off strong here with a 2-0 start. I think you hit it the nail directly on the head though, with the late game potential of like the Escort, Astral, and Matthew with the Aghanims as well. It's going to be such an exceptional way. Is Yona? Should be right. It's going to be a great way to kite the Scythe, and I think as the game goes on, if you can just negate the Necrophos X factor blowing up the DK or blowing up a key value, it's going to really enable you in fights. But I think Interactive Philippines need to play all off the back of that. You need to have long drawn out fights. You want Marb bending all the mana, like getting rid of the Necro's mana, getting rid of the Sven's mana, using the kite ability with the Weaver, with the OD. They're very in and out potential. Sakuchi, you know, PL is very mobile as well. If they can play off the back of this, because Dire don't have the greatest stunts, they're more reliant on a quick burst. So I see the avenue for Radiant. I think it's really difficult to get to that stage though.
Yeah, I mean, even as it gets super late, they don't have that burst. Like, it's going to need to be like Escod having a refresher and dropping the hammer twice at level 25 or something like that to be able to get any kind of burst potential out here, because it is very ramp up damage from their side. And it feels like against a Necrophos, that's exactly what a Necro wants. He also wants these long drawn out team fights, especially if he goes for this more farm intensive build, good against a PL build with the likes of a Radiance on the Necro.
Yeah, I think if GY has a really good lane here, he might actually consider going Radiance. If he feels like this game, maybe because you have a Sven who's a hero who likes to just free farm for, you know, first 15 minutes, excel, get that maybe item advantage, and then start to show up. So, you know, maybe he could I could definitely see him going for the back of like this utility build. Let's just go early, maybe like mech, pipe, whatever he feels utility wise, just to group up, and, you know, maybe by 20 minutes they're just looking to really steamroll over tower. So I can see him going down that route too.
I can even see him just going a 4-staff, to be perfectly honest, right? Like, because any kind of item that he goes for, whether it be like a pipe or something like that, is it really going to be that effective at what Interactive Philippines has? Probably not. I feel like it's more important to just get the extra space away from a Clockwork, get the space away from an OD. Of course, PL, if he gets the Diffusal Blade onto you, you just want that extra couple of seconds so that you can actually use your spells properly.
Is there anything you've been surprised about with how the lanes are set up at the moment? Maybe a team or hero that's doing a little bit more favorable than you're expecting?
Probably the OD having a better time. I mean, OD, it is good in this particular offlane setup. I feel like Escort has just been performing really well overall, though. So it could just be coming down to individual playthrough here. But again, like, no points in the Warcry, realizing that it's not going to be super effective in this laning stage. They went for a little bit more of a kill build here with the Stormhammer and, of course, a Bane able to dish out a ton of damage early on, but hasn't resulted in much of anything. So it means that they've sacrificed a bit more of that farming potential for kills that haven't really eventuated.
It does feel like, though, level 6s are where we're going to see the kills maybe start to shine. As actually, it's he faded. Fallen a little bit low here, but out to safety. All eyes on the Sonic Wave from Citrus and how he looks to use this early. Maybe if it's a TP top, or even, you know, getting a nice little power rune to get involved as well. Because at the moment the lanes have been pretty stable. Just either team happy with the farm they're getting. You also want to pay attention to how Ragdoll can really set up to make some stacks.
Might be dying here.
Yeah, Citrus, he needs to kill the creep to get level 6. Oh, they'll actually find Matthew up top first instead, so it's still Ragdoll securing the first blood.
Okay. They would have not have enough mana to be able to use the Sonic Wave anyway. I was thinking that with the Shadow Strike plus the Spirit Breaker charge onto the mid lane would have been enough to pick up the kill, but yeah, that 3 points Dragon Blood keeping Yona nice and healthy, and it's something that an OD would not have been able to do. You could not just sit here in the laning phase and look to trade with a Queen of Pains. So I like the fact that they changed up the laning stage. It meant that the draft wasn't quite as much of a disaster as we were originally thinking, but it's still looking favorable for Ragdoll right now, despite the fact that Escort has had another good start to this game. Just look at where like the creep equilibrium is as well.
No, Citrus
feeling quite safe.
He actually blinked aggressively in the river, not having the vision of where Matthew was already positioning, so great awareness though, just going to continue running to the western side. It's actually pulled them away from the creep wave too, but as long as they keep this catapult wave alive, they should get a lot of damage with the Elder Dragon form combined with it.
That swarm is so annoying as well. Just the one point in it, but by the time he'd gotten rid of the Scarab, he was on -7 armor at the end of that. You know, just for 1 point. It's crazy how much that's able to do. And, well, they force an early glyph out of the Dire and looking to go for a bit of an offensive glyph in return.
Oh, they got the Scythe.
Get this kill.
A little bit too late, and also lacking maybe some mana on Citrus if they needed the extra damage. He still hasn't even gone for a point in Sonic Wave. 3-1-2, a lot more emphasis on the lane dominating build for the Queen of Pain.
And that TP also means that Marb gets this little bit of a window to be able to continuously farm. He's been having an alright game down on this bottom side. All 3 Radiant cores sitting pretty right now, and not really what you would come to expect from Citrus on the Queen of Pain, sitting 6th on net worth right now.
Yeah, really wasn't expecting, in fact, the Quap, like you said, to be, what, 500 gold difference from his position 2 counterpart, so... Maybe, I mean, this is a thing, like always, when you go 3 points in Dagger, it can be a bit of an issue if you don't maybe get kills in the lane or dominate as much as you were hoping, so it's really going to minimize how much farm he can get and also his kill potential in the side lanes.
Even just the little things, right? Like he bottled up that bounty rune and didn't switch out the null talismans, didn't drop the tumbler's toy, or when he was looking to use the actual bottle itself. So still only sitting at about half mana. It's not going to matter because he picks up a regen rune. But I don't know, maybe it could have been something that snowballed into something much greater if they didn't have quite enough mana to be able to use the Sonic Wave, for example. But we've got the second use of the Elder Dragon form combined up with the Meteor Hammer. And this is something that Interactive Philippines have done quite well this game. You know, look to make these first few rotations, the use of the ultimates and items to quite good effect.
Radiant are scanning.
Conversion on towers is such a key thing when you have someone like a Dragon Knight and this early Meteor as well on the OD, but I struggle to see how they can kill mid. I mean, Necro, Bracer, Falcon Blade, Wand as well. He's going to be really difficult to bring down, but Esco, this rotation is going to try and set up a little bit off the timing with the Meteor Hammer and Yif as well. Coming in just in the nick of time to help keep Citrus alive and pops the regen, so he can even get back involved too if they further break out another fight mid. But again, I want to bring up that this tower could be really difficult to claim if you just put the Necrophos directly in front of it.
Doesn't look like he's, well, actually now he makes the TP through. It's going to be a slow TP though, considering all the rotations that previously had come through. Is Citrus stuck there? Is that why he's just standing in this area? Yeah, I think he was stuck next to the small camp there. But you've committed a bunch of TPs towards this mid lane now. GY, I feel like you kind of have to just push into this tower as much as possible. You've got a lot of ultimates, you've got full mana up on Citrus, but no, they're just going to back up a little bit, get that power treads perhaps for that little bit of extra tank ability. Against the Sanity's Eclipse, every little bit of mana counts.
Did you see any stacks for VT Faded? I checked earlier, but didn't see if they'd created any.
I think it was like minimal. Like inside their own jungle, they'd made like one around the south side of their outpost.
It's kind of the issue when you've got a Spirit Breaker 4. A lot more emphasis on ganking other lanes. It's not a ranged hero too, so difficult to get 2 stacks at once, but VT Faded is still a hero that can farm really fast. I need to put a lot more emphasis on keeping this tower alive.
Well, you're going to have the Meteor Hammer. They have the double damage as well. Even looking to commit with this. Ends up backing up.
Yeah, they'll get the tower. This is huge. I think you've got to be set up to keep it alive, and now GY. Reinforcements are starting to come out a little bit slow at the moment. They'll drop the Sanities early, but with the Scythe combined with the Sonic Wave, they'll blow up the Dragon Knight. And they'll even VT Faded. Looking to show up to the body as well as they neutralize 2 other heroes. Ragdoll, yes, they don't keep the tower alive, but a successful skirmish, and they can look to put some pressure on some objectives as well.
They're very happy to do so. With that God Strength used, Siege Creep available. Even though the death timers are so low right now, you're very easily able to take this tier 1 tower. And they just unfortunately weren't able to kill Nephra quite quickly enough. Still able to get that Reaper's Scythe in onto the Dragon Knight. So it's a fairly even game at this stage. A little bit more slower pace than we've been expecting in recent times, especially between these 2 teams. But you know, when you have a look at the lineups that they've got, ones that need a lot of items to be able to come online, particularly with the Sven, OD, Phantom Lancer, you can understand why.
Kimo and Escort looking to smoke together. The duo at the moment roaming across the map, finding who they can pick off. The run into VT Faded first, who's actually trying to connect with Yif as well. BT faded. He's pretty tanky. 1600 health.
Charge as well.
But they're close to the T1 tower too, so the reinforcements starting to come into play. But VT faded with that meteor damage is still going to end up dropping. So a big bounty for them to claim. The kill in the position one has been free farming across the map. And now Escort's still playing the outskirts too, trying to provide whatever extra survivability they can to keep the clockwork alive, but it's not enough. It's a 1-for-2 trade. Citrus is hunting for more as well with the help of GY. I mean, they've got the Reaper Scythe on cooldown. They're going to rely on Menu Pink to cancel the TP from Escort. So in the end, a 2-for-2 in the skirmish, but the silver linings. You get rid of the Sven, mobs free farming across the map.
Is he even going for a diffusal blade? Okay, he's got it coming out in the career right now for himself. I like it. I think GY did end up going that 4-star build that I was talking about. Yeah, it's just so much more important you're positioning this game as opposed to any kind of damage reduction, because, I mean, that's going to do the damage reduction for you, just being able to not sit there and constantly take up that damage. Charge actually coming through here onto Matthew.
Just going to run back into the sentry. And they'll use the Scythe. Pest control showing up. GY second of the game, 2-1-3 with his kill count, and we do have a bit of a timing though. We've seen Interactive Philippines have been able to utilize their blinks to great succession whenever they complete them, and about 13 minutes in for Yona's Dragonite. What are we looking to see? Where are they? What's the path they want to create across the map here with this blink?
I think anything that's just going to extend into another tower, right? Like, you've got all the glyphs available.
Radiant are scanning.
Yeah, this is a much difficult kill. Now it's going to compromise the Clockwork's positioning in himself. Poor old Chemo. Space Creator, I suppose. Rest Interactive Philippines. Get them whatever they can across the map.
I don't feel like you have insane value of taking this bottom tier 1 tower. Like, that's where they're looking to group up around and, you know, maybe start to push into that. But unless he's able to pick up the initiation onto the Sven, with the OD there, just sitting in the tree line. But yeah, tier 1 tower doesn't really result in much of anything. The big thing for mine is they need to pop the glyph somehow and then look to put the pressure onto either tier 2 or tier 2 mid or top. Because Roshan is still a pretty significant...
they know the doppelganger's on cooldown, so Yif can charge in forward. They need to push him away from the rest of the illusions. The burst needs to be perfect as well, but Yona answers the Fiend's Grip, gives enough time to Mob to get down to the low ground, and now Radiant, they can turn this back to their advantage. They've been able to blow up the Bane. Yif just charges out. No, they'll kill him off. In fact, it's going to be Chemo that claims it with the 1 point in the rocket flare, but what an answer. And look at the unrelentless pressure they're looking to put on afterwards. A 5-man smoke. And they've got an incredible ward on the backline that's scouting out VT Fade in the jungle, and he's the target of this maneuver. Now he's goddamn tanky, he's got GY nearby, Citrus nearby as well. They'll try and blow up Escort, but without the Sonic Wave, they can't get rid of him through the ultimate. But this has given enough opportunity for Interactive Philippines to blow up VT Fader too.
I feel like you're very happy with picking up that one. I mean, any kind of time that you're able to make your core matchup more substantial, you'll take it every single second. And Marv, he's hit up onto his level 13, he's building into the Yasha, and more importantly, it's all of this farm that he's getting completely uncontested. So all of that solo experience that he's getting, doesn't matter that he's got 0-0-0 in terms of his KDA, it's just all about getting up onto those higher levels super quick. If he can eventually get to that level 25, a good few minutes before the Sven, you're just in a really good spot to be able to close out this game. And again, actually, bot side, Matthew might be getting caught a little bit here. Has to be careful about his positioning. Looking to play around that fog as much as possible.
No way. No way! So much space! I was just gonna say, I thought this was an easy kill. I'm like, you brought up the Spirit Breaker, such an issue versus the Weaver, anyone that can get on top of him, and my guy somehow gets away. And now they're picking GY. They know there was a lot of emphasis put back with these TPs.
They know this is happening though. I mean, they're walking underneath some vision that they've got there. Kind of surprising that it hasn't been dewarded since they knew this sort of area was being scouted out previously. But with the double damage, you can still look to at least force the glyph out. This is exactly what they want. They can even just look to stay up here. You've got that full Elder Dragon form. You've got the splash damage as well coming through from the level 2. Don't have a siege creep, but I don't think you're all that concerned.
Dire smoking behind, looking to wrap around. Put G1 in the front, but he's losing the mana. Won't have too much for the team fight. This is a long wraparound here from Ragdoll, and they're not going to find anyone.
God Strength was popped as well by VT Faded.
They got to get something out of this. So about a quarter duration left, but VT Faded is going to show so instantly.
And they pinged it as well. Yep. They know.
Oh.
Maybe just looking to wait the next minute just to have the Elder Dragon form up again, because you'll have a solid 30 seconds where you know that the Sven God Strength isn't going to be a factor. That's a big miss there, and again, it comes down to the good positioning coming through from Escott. He was there right in the tree line, making sure that he wasn't revealing himself to anyone with that sort of smoke happening. So he was in position to be able to save, but also to make sure that he wasn't going to be the one losing his life for the purpose.
So Matthew doesn't get out of it this time, right? No, surely not. Timos is about a millisecond away there, unfortunately. But alright, so he's got Spirit Vessel completed. Neko doesn't have a way to purge this one off just yet. He's gonna run straight to Escort too, but they've been able to cancel the Meteor Hammer. A lot of damage now negated as they drop the combination. This time, bursting through the Outward Devourer, a key component. They found the real Phantom Lancer too! Menu ping, on point with the Fiend's Grip. It's not gonna matter that they cancel it. The AoE damage that they've had is enough to go through the core, and now they can deal with the rest of Interactive Philippines, which is on the enemy side's territory, as it's all Ragdoll throughout this skirmish.
You see how different it is, though, when you're actually able to find that OD, right? All of that teamfight control, it's just gone. And right now, he's gone a bit of a greedy build. You know, the Meteor Hammer into the Glove of Haste into a Blink Dagger next, meaning that he probably doesn't need to be standing right there in the middle of a lot of these teamfights in the future. But just imagine if he was starting to build into a BKB, right? Has the Ogre Axe, has a little bit of that extra HP. You might not get burst. That time he would have, but you might not get burst quite as quickly. And it does give you that extra layer of security to be able to at least have some sort of an impact in a lot of these fights.
So is that kind of the key trigger though for Interactive Philippines? Like if you lose OD to start, does their fight just crumble after that?
I feel like even if OG just gets gone on, he has such little... Oh, might be losing Matthew here. He has such little survivability potential that you kind of just need to cut your losses at that point. You know, maybe that extra second or two where you're just saying, right, we can't save him, is what you need to make sure that everyone else gets out of that team fight, and you're still going to commit the Reaper Scythe for that. And for me, if you're able to farm up on the Weaver, I mean, he's picked up the point booster now, I believe, and you get that Aghanim Scepter because you've just spent so much time committing on to killing this OD over and over again, eventually you're going to have the Aghanim Scepter, and eventually you're going to be able to get that save through for the Reaper's Scythe, for the God Strength, and VT Fader trying to burst someone down.
Yeah, now it's how you can kind of prevent this quick burst, because we have seen how different it can be. I think it's twice now the Sonic Wave and Scythe has, you know, been a coordinated attempt to just blow up a hero and then have that advantage from there. So Blink's going to be a bit of an X factor, like you're saying, the Ags as well on the Weaver. So kind of all eyes on how Interactive Philippines almost can, you know, dodge the next couple of 5 minutes. Like, do you feel like they're at a stage where they can fight, or are you just looking to get these defensive items, and then, you know, we might be at a stage where they can start taking some skirmishes?
I feel like you need... These BKBs are just so incredibly important right now. The DK, he's going into his, he's looking to put a lot of emphasis on picking it up. He's only 200 gold away. But it does mean that he's not really able to protect against any kind of aggressive movement into his own triangle. They'll look to take that away. They get their vision set up. Now the next fight that they take, they're probably going to look to try and defend this vision as much as possible and convert that next team fight around the triangle into Roshan. But at least now Interactive Philippines, they've got the BKB available. Any other big items that have come through in recent times? Manta Style on PL?
Yep.
So it's not looking too bad for them right now. You've also got that Blink Dagger that we've been highlighting before. So who are they going to be looking to go for? They either need to find the Bane or they need to pop the Necro.
They're going to jump the Necro. Menu pings on the outskirts once again, so the Nightmare timing will dodge the Meteor Hammer. Now they're going to look to turn it back around. With a BKB. Yona's out to safety in the wings. A little bit disconnected at the moment. VT Fade as well with the God Strength pop, but who have they found? It's going to be the OD. I think this might be Roshan. You can't get any other objectives. You really want to convert that God Strength, and VT Fade is just chasing for more. He's down on Mom underneath the lane. The rest of Dire slow to connect with the Sven.
Huh. They really did want to push her. I was thinking that would have been a guaranteed Roche. You know, they don't have these huge team fight ultimates, and you really only had used the Reaper Scythe up until then. You still had the Sonic Wave, still had the Fiend's Grip, and of course the Spirit Breaker charging through the Roche Pit is always going to be super impactful. So a little bit surprising to me that they didn't look to try and convert that into Roche. Probably not for the Sven, either for Necro or Queen of Pain would have been fantastic. But yeah, again, just another one of those situations where the OD gets caught out at the start of the team fights. And, you know, I highlighted earlier on, right? You kind of need to burst through the Necro first, but they don't have the potential to do it with their heroes, right? Like, if PL is slow damage, DK is slow damage, and an OD, unless your double sanity is eclipsing, you don't have the damage for it. So every single time, Menu Ping, of course, the great Nightmare that he was able to get off to be able to dodge out, you know, some of that damage, but I don't think they even needed it.
And it's not only the Menu Ping Nightmare save as well, it's going to be Yif charging in the middle, and he's got maxed out charge, so the cooldown a little bit lesser. Matthew? No, he's going to be caught out. Okay, another pick off. Oh, they missed the Sonic Wave. He should still die. Are they lacking some detection? Okay. Well, never mind. They're still going to get him. Okay, the ward on the high ground. So I was going to say, Silver Lining Citrus, he's got Arcane, lesser cooldown on the Sonic Wave. So charge actually not reduced actually with the level. Apologies about that, but I just think that Radiant, how would you? I don't think you can rely on this DK Blink into Meteor Hammer. You've got Nightmare, you've got Charge, and soon to be Blink as well, which I think is now completed on VT Fed. You have multiple ways to answer this OD, and that's kind of how they've been playing these past couple of fights, and I don't think you can rely on that at all.
I don't think you can rely on that to kill the Necro. I think you can rely on that to kill the Bane, and I feel like Bane needs to be the one that dies in a lot of these fights, but Menu Ping, his positioning has been fantastic. Only dying the once so far this game for an 11 kill involvement. Always in the right spot to make sure he gets the Fiend's Grip off. I mean, he gripped the right PL, for God's sake, in one of those previous fights around the triangle, so he's going to be smoking up with VT Faded, looking to get a kill of their own. They really only need the two of them, as long as they find the right target, and it feels like, yeah, it's going to be OD every single time. That's the main focus for Ragdoll to try and pick off here.
And GY, 2200 health, Essence Ring as well, so he's just posturing aggressive. They'll use the Scythe, get rid of the Clockwork. Simultaneously, VT Fade is going to look to jump as well. They've got the answer for the Fiend's Grip, but Dire can set up on top of Yona. They both trade their BKBs there. Again, we need to see Ragdoll getting more objectives out of these. Converting, and Mob sticking around. Yeah, VT Faded. He's cleared through all the illusions. OD's going to look to TP in the middle of it all to provide some assist, since the Astral will give him a time and a half here to get the double out, but it's still such a long cooldown. As now Escorts are next on the agenda. He blinks back into the lane, but Ragdoll can just surround the OD. Another fight that goes exceptionally well for the boys on Dire.
Matthew doing his best to try and push this wave out a little bit. He can only show, well, he can't show at all, actually. He's making sure to stay completely inside the fog so that he's not the target of any sort of Spirit Breaker charge. And just doing his best to try and take the attention away. Maybe they can, again, look to go into the Roche Pit, but outside of the Sven, their damage is lacking a little bit. And basically 0 minus armor, I believe, at this point. Yeah, no one's even gone into a Medallion or a Solar Crest. I like this Aghanim Scepter build as well from GY. Just wanting that lower Ghost Shroud cooldown, the Heartstopper aura active, always really effective. Even if he gets to level 25, the extra 0.5 on the Heartstopper aura, you combine that together with your Aghanim Scepter, it is so much damage that's constantly ticking out every single second that, again, you need to deal with a Necro, but they just don't have the heroes to do it.
Dire. Cooldowns are lacking at the moment, so it's going to be Radiant looking to get on the front foot here. I mean, is GY the target though? Menu Ping once again is going to try and find the angle to keep him alive, and they'll do so successfully. As soon as they show up to the fight, they've got to look to reposition themselves and just cut their losses. But a scythe to blow up the OD. Citrus is already hunting for more. Yours is available, so we catch wins of Yona. It can set up for VT Faded and Co to close the distance. They'll dive without a doubt underneath the tier 3 tower. As it's another fight that is all Ragdoll.
They have the glyph to be able to protect against this, and they're going to pop it now with the tier 2 tower on 28 HP. Is the creep going to live? Well, range creep's alive though. Right. God strength.
Oh, PL surely. Someone, PL, kill the illusion, kill the ranged. But GY's done a good job to keep it all. Okay. Still got range, so tier 3 dead.
Hello? Please kill the
range creep?
No. Why are you using Spirit Lance on the Necro?
They're pinging it. They're like, how is this creep still alive? So they get rid of the range racks, GY.
He's a little low on mana. The other thing as well is just, again, I just want to point out GY's itemization going into the Death Seeker as well. So even if the Bane is the one that gets gone on, use Death Seeker on him. What kills him outside of Sanities? Like, they've got Breathe Fire and Rocket Flare and Spirit Lance. That is not a lot of damage. And so if you're able to get that off, I mean, he's been using it aggressively almost every single time to guarantee that the Reaper Scythe is going to be effective, but it's also a great defensive tool. So GY, again, really showing up this game.
It's been kind of
9-1 and 13, wow.
Yeah, it's been really the story of the position 3 so far this series. GY, along with Escort, is... Once again, it's Interactive Philippines smoking aggressively, but it's into the Necro. And VT Fade on the outskirts, he gets a double stun on all the cores. Look at the cleave, look at the damage. Ragdoll. Oh, so much strength, all the power. They found 3, they get Weaver as well. GY, they can't use the Scythe on anyone else, so let's just drop the big ultimate. Cleave through the Weaver, dead for 70, and look at Citrus. He's already trying to set up an escort too. There's Observer Ward down bottom, giving them the information for Yif to get involved as well. Oh, and what should be... Yeah, you can't. This is the issue about the Spirit Breaker. You cannot show across the map. A team wipe in the end. I mean, Clockwork's back alive, but man, Ragdoll are playing exceptionally well.
Yeah. They know the key targets that they need to go on. They know that with the team, the draft that they've had, Necro's unkillable. You know, you cannot just burst through him, especially with his specific itemization. I think he's got his Aghanim Scepter coming out to him as well. So good luck trying to take out GY now.
And they've continued to butt their heads into the Necrophos. Again and again and again. Insanity trying to blow him up, and it hasn't worked. 10-1 and 16. We'll see how a fight can break out now when they can maybe take it on their side of the map and force Ragdoll to overcommit, but it's not been working when they've been smoking up and just running straight into GY.
No, definitely not. And it feels like it needs to be a Ragdoll mistake, kind of like you highlighted there, for them to be able to come back into this one. Either, you know, overextending inside of the Interactive Philippines base, or Menu Ping and GY being too far apart from each other. If those two are standing within ability to land their spells, neither of them dies, in my eyes. You can just see here, just look at the positioning through from Menu Ping. You know, he's playing around his vision, he's making sure that he's in range to get that Nightmare off. It'd need to be like perfect coordination coming through.
I mean, they feel like they cannot give away this control of the map. It would just open up Roshan as VT Faded. Well, they've done a good job to be able to kite the start off the Sven. He's not looking to use the BKB early. Chemo Cogs as well pushes him back to safety, but it doesn't even matter. If VT Faded gets kited, you've got GY and Citrus that are just outputting ridiculous amounts of damage at this stage in the game. And Yona is playing on the edge there.
Don't know about the use of that.
He's a bit disconnected, but he's still got BKB. Turns it back around. It would just creep through the Dragonite. It looks like they've had enough. They're on top of Mob now as well. Health's being burnt away. The Nightmare might even just do it as well. Menu ping. Come on, guys. Give me the kill. I'm a Bane. I've done so much work for you. 6-1 and 15. The G's are dropped in Ragdoll. They'll be able to take their second series victory, starting off incredibly strong in Division 2.
Yeah, I mean, what a performance coming through again. It was the off-lane show today, basically, coming through. GY 11, 1, and 20, involved in 31 out of the 35 kills in this entire game. It was a crazy amount that they were able to get done. And yeah, a very well-deserved Ragdoll victory. And we're both 2-0 as well. So
I should be 3-0, but that's okay.
You didn't bring it up in time. You know, that's the key component.
It's all right. I'm still gonna win. I'm still gonna win. It's fine. It's all good. I'll get my free meal. I'll get my free cream. I'm happy. And for the boys on Ragdoll, they're incredibly happy as well. I think we were, both off the back of expecting the lanes to go a lot better than what they did for Ragdoll. So props to Interactive Philippines from pulling that one out. An exceptional game 1 performance as well.
Look at the level differential as well between OD and Necro. 10 levels behind. Like, yep. Weaver was the same level as the OD. He even bought a tome at the end there to try and get him a little bit of extra experience. But it was a good laning stage idea, but Ragdoll knew exactly what Interactive Philippines teamfight and pick off potential revolved around. It was that OD. So every single time they made sure to focus down Esgod. He just didn't have quite the impact that he would have been wanting, and they were just never able to get it onto menu ping, and they didn't have the heroes to beat the Necrophos. So really well played overall. And yeah, that's it for Division 2 for today as well. No interview because we're thick and fast into Division 1, and chat's going to be happy as well because they don't have to sit around for an hour like they normally do. We're, what was it, only about 10 minutes or so before we get into Fnatic versus TNC?
What a hype series. Just the matchup. I mean, it's a different look from either team. TNC especially, Fnatic a little bit as well, but it's kind of the derby matchup that we've come to love through Southeast Asia. That is going to be an incredible one to kick off the day for Division 1, but they've also got Execration versus Neon, which will be the remaining series for them later in the day. But for Danog and we're done. Yeah, you want to give a shout out to the
one quick thing? Yeah, again, shout out again. Follow these teams on Twitter, Facebook, wherever social media you've got. Ragdoll and Interactive Philippines. Just search them up. Very easy to find. And you mentioned Neon as well. Shout out to you, Aries. For people that aren't aware, just go and have a look at the supporter pack for Neon.
I'm hoping to hear it.
The first line there under Neon's gold team badge is Aries. Palos, you lucky, lucky man. Can you give us a bit of a preview of what it sounds like?
I'm good. You guys can hear it in the... hopefully you can hear it when they play. That's very exciting. I was very happy when I saw that. But yeah, we got Division 1 coming up shortly. It's going to be an incredible couple of series. Like we said, it'll be Fnatic up against TNC, Execration versus Neon. For Danog and I, we're done tonight. But we'll also highlight real quick tomorrow, we got some incredible series for Division 2 as well. It's going to be Nigma, Galaxy C versus Talon. I tell you what, I'm excited for that. And then Polaris versus Lil Gun as well. So for Division 2 action, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time here for the Winter Tour presented by Beyond the Summit.